So if you were president, would you declassify the Epstein files?
Yeah, I would.
The Epstein files were supposed to uncover financier Jeffrey Epstein's sex trafficking and blackmail operation.
What you're going to see, hopefully tomorrow, is a lot of flight logs, a lot of names, a lot of information.
And yet, since President Trump returned to office, the Epstein files have revealed nothing of the sort, for the excellent reason that there was no such operation.
Are you still talking about Jeffrey Epstein? This guy's been talked about for years.
Its non-existence is, ironically, the most important thing to emerge from the document dump, and makes clear that the conspiracy theories which grew on the campaign trail and were then amplified by Attorney General Pam Bondi and FBI Director Kash Patel have failed to deliver what they hoped.
Today we are producing more than 3 million pages, including more than 2,000 videos and 180,000 images.
In the latest release is a memo in which FBI investigators conclude that there was no evidence in Epstein's residences and bank accounts of a trafficking ring or of sex videos supposedly used for blackmail. Meanwhile, another revealing document, this one highlighted by the independent journalist Michael Tracy, is an 86-page memo from 2019 by prosecutors with the Southern District of New York. Intended to marshal evidence against Epstein's associates, the memo notes that Virginia Giuffre, the accuser primarily responsible for stories of a sex slave and blackmail ring, who's tragically since committed suicide, was in fact a fabulist and who was totally unreliable as a courtroom witness.
Before Miss Maxwell was arrested, there was a meeting in New York, and Virginia and I were there. And I said, "Did you file a police report?" Virginia said, "No, I could not do that. I could not do that. I was around rich and powerful people."
That Epstein's crimes were confined to himself and a few enablers, chiefly Ghislaine Maxwell, was always intolerable to the influencers and politicos who want to attribute all bad things in the world to dark cabals.
I think the real answer is Jeffrey Epstein was working on behalf of intel services, probably not American.
Epstein is a key that picks the lock on so many things.
You have had all this contact with the foreign government. Were you working on behalf of Mossad?
Meanwhile, a coterie of radicals in the U.S. House, including Thomas Massie, Ro Khanna, and Jamie Raskin, continue to speculate that Epstein serviced the rich and powerful in odious ways.
The Biden Department of Justice had the files the entire time. And not a single one of the people who are so loud and animated right now, they never said anything about it for all those 4 years.
On this vote, the yeas are 427, the nays are 1.
In November, Congress, in an act of cravenness whose consequences will last decades, mandated the release of all the documents and for nakedly political reasons.
There's been public reporting that Jeffrey Epstein showed people photos of President Trump with half-naked young women. Have you seen any such thing?
You sit here and make salacious remarks, once again trying to slander President Trump left and right, when you're the one who was taking money from one of Epstein's closest confidants.
As for Mr. Trump, the latest tranche of documents suggests that he never cavorted with Epstein and his harem. An FBI document memorializes a 2006 conversation in which Mr. Trump phoned Palm Beach Police Department. It reads,
Trump called the PBPD to tell him, "Thank goodness you're stopping him. Everyone has known he's been doing this." Trump told him people in New York knew Epstein was disgusting. Trump said Maxwell was Epstein's operative. She is evil, and to focus on her. Trump told Redacted that he was around Epstein once when teenagers were present, and Trump got the hell out of there.
Many in the press repeatedly come back to a claim Mr. Trump made back in 2019, during his first term, that he knew nothing about Epstein's creepy actions. But the salient point here is surely that 15 years earlier, Mr. Trump volunteered his views to the cops and on the record.
I have nothing to do with Jeffrey Epstein. I threw him out of my club many years ago because I thought he was a sick pervert.
Of the other high-profile targets, Bill Clinton, though not unscathed by the files, doesn't seem to have been a client whom Epstein could blackmail. He took 4 overseas trips on Epstein's jets in 2002 and 2003, each credibly said to be about philanthropic work. That's before the 2006 indictment of Epstein for soliciting a minor.
The reality is that Donald Trump's FBI scrubbed these files in March, long before Thomas Massie and I passed the Epstein Transparency Act.
Despite efforts to keep the narrative going, in the end, there was no sex slave ring, no blackmail operation, no cameras recording dalliances for later use, and no client list. Just a deeply sick and rich predator with a few enablers.
I therefore invoke my right to silence under the Fifth Amendment to the U.S. Constitution.
Yet there was a ring of sorts, a circle of well-connected, wealthy, and politically liberal men who looked past Epstein's taste in girls and remained on friendly terms. Revilers of Epstein's pals draw a fine distinction between those who continued to associate with him after his 2008 conviction and those who didn't. But I'm not convinced that's so important.
Yeah, I met Jeffrey in 2011. The focus was always he knew a lot of very rich people, and he was saying he could get them to give money to global health. Every minute I spent with him, I regret and I apologize that I did that.
For America's liberal VIPs in media, tech, and politics, the moment demands self-reflection. The big-timers humiliated by association with Epstein, like the guys disgraced by Me Too allegations, almost all held conventional liberal opinions and gave lavishly to liberal causes and Democratic candidates. Don't pretend you haven't noticed. And frankly, it ought to bother them that 20 years ago, the man they loathe most took a look at Jeffrey Epstein's conduct and got the hell out of there.